A reanimated corpse filled with curiosity, learning about herself, the joys of life, and the struggles of society. Welcome to Easily Entertained. I'm your host, Bryson Oleson, and here we talk about all things entertainment. Today we are talking about the movie Poor Things. I finally got around to watching it because I didn't end up seeing it in theaters when it was out, but it's on Hulu right now, and so I decided to watch it. It's kind of a weird little show, but it's pretty interesting in that it kind of shows the main character, Bella Baxter's reintegration into society through three primary steps, being innocence, pleasure, and imperfections. So let's begin first with Childlike Innocence. First off, who is Bella Baxter? Well, that is kind of an interesting story. So Godwin Baxter, played by William Dafoe, he's kind of a twisted little surgeon. He discovers a woman by the name of Victoria Blessington after she jumps off a bridge in London. She dies, and when he finds her, he realizes that she's barely alive and she is pregnant with a child. And so he does this little twisted experiment to kind of give her some new life. So he takes Victoria's brain out of her body, gets rid of it, takes the brain of the unborn child and puts that in Victoria's head and reanimates her. It's a little weird. It's kind of like Frankenstein-esque kind of premise, but it is kind of an interesting experiment. So Godwin, or God as he gets referred to by Bella all the time, he does that experiment, and as children tend to adapt and learn very fast, that's why it's kind of interesting, because what if you gave a child all the facilities that an adult has while they can also learn incredibly fast? Because kind of when you get older, like you're learning, you can still learn, of course, but you tend not to learn as fast, at least depending on the environment that you're in. Because when you're a child and like you're going to school and you're learning all these things within the first 18 years of your life, it progresses really fast. And so it's kind of an interesting experiment to do while a brain is developing, having them have a full grown body. And in Bella's case, it's not just about taking information, but it doesn't have to put any resources into growing a body. It's like not even like that they're a little bit older. You don't have to do that at all. So her mind progresses incredibly fast in this movie. And I believe it is based off of a book, and I don't know how similar the book and the movie are, but I don't know. I found the movie interesting, at least. So if you've read the book, let me know if that's also interesting and if it did it justice or not. But Bella's like childlike learning ability and being like able to do kind of anything, just having the younger mind of a child, this gives her kind of a childlike wonder and innocence as she is basically discovering everything for the first time. Later, when she starts interacting with other people, such as Max, who is one of Godwin's students, she questions a lot of things and wants to keep discovering new things. She asks God if she can take some cuts to a body, because that's what he does. He does surgery and stuff, and so he has like cadavers in his lab of people who have died, and he does experiments on, and she kind of gets involved and is just intrigued by everything in existence. She kind of has like some morbid tendencies sometimes. Like there's a point where they kind of go out, Max finds a frog and is like, hey, check this out. And he's like holding it in his hand kind of like this, and it just she smashes it and frog's dead. And you're like, well, that's a little bit weird. But her desire for information and learning is something that kind of stays with her throughout the whole movie, and it adds another dimension to her character as a whole. Because I feel like in a lot of movies you get characters that don't have a lot of depth to them. Like they have one personality trait and that's kind of it. And using the device of a child's mind in an adult's body, and using that to kind of lean into the discovery aspect of the story, I think was pretty pretty genius. She's interested not only in the sciences of God, but also in the intricacies and pleasures of the world. So that brings me to my next point, which is personal pleasure. So Bella's curiosity leads her to not only discover more about the world, but also more things about herself and what causes or makes her happy. Technically not a bad premise, but the inciting incident for this discovery is Bella learns how to pleasure herself, which happens a lot throughout the movie in numerous ways, not just her doing it, but sex and stuff. It's probably 70% of the movie. But upon discovering this, she tends to do it a lot, and she likes how it makes her feel. And this later sparks interest for other things that she enjoys and makes her happy. So while this isn't the inciting incident for all of us when you're growing up, her discovery of self-representation of self-pleasure. I'm getting ahead of myself reading my script. It's a representation of all of us learning what we like and seeking out the things that we enjoy about life. You kind of just do things. It's a bunch of trial and error. Bella trialed and errored, and she found something she really liked, and we have to watch it for 70% of the movie. But that is how it goes for everybody. You trial and error a bunch of different things, and some things you like and some things you don't. But as you grow older and you gain new experiences throughout life, you learn more about what you want more of and what you want less of. And for Bella, she learns very fast that, she enjoys the sexual acts of life, and she likes to talk about them with others. She's not afraid of politeness or boundaries. I mean, she does have some, but she doesn't really care. And she's like, why can't we just talk about this? Which is an understandable thing. Sometimes you are like, why can't we talk about this? But she also makes friends and gets introduced to things like philosophy. This makes her question the things that she enjoys even more and why she enjoys them and how to make them even better. So while it does tend to get sexual in nature for 70% of the movie, I'm not even joking, it's probably 70, maybe 50 on the low end, but 70 I feel like is pretty accurate. So although it does get that way for such a large portion of the movie, it's just a conduit for that discovery side of Bella, is the pleasure side of discovery. And it is shown kind of throughout the movie in not only the character sense, but in the cinematography. Because when you first start off in the movie's black and white, and it kind of represents more of a closed off viewpoint. And, sometimes they use a really small lens, that kind of cuts out. It'll be like a circle in the middle. And that's how it gets framed in the movie. And it closes things off. It builds high tension. And it kind of represents Bella not knowing a whole lot. And then as she goes out into the world and she discovers more things for herself, it changes to color, and the lenses tend to be a bit, not wide necessarily, because technically that's really wide, but more flattering might be the word for it. And so you as the audience, you're kind of discovering the beauty of this world just like Bella is. And it helps make you enjoy it more, much like how Bella's enjoying life and getting used to things and finding what they like. So the film becomes more pleasing to look at, to make you enjoy it as well, to kind of follow along that journey. And with that kind of discovery for the good things, also comes some discovery for the bad things, which brings us to societal imperfections. While there is a lot of good things in society and the world, I feel like there's a lot of good people. There's a lot of good things that can happen. There's also a lot of bad. And Bella learns this kind of throughout the movie, and I think particularly in the second half. That's where she starts seeing more consequences of her actions, and where the little ditzy naiveness kind of gets pulled back a little bit more, and others don't like it, and she doesn't tend to like it as much. And so that first half, she's kind of just becoming more coherent and learning about the enjoyments of life. But like real life, she also has to learn about the bad things as well. But she does tend to do it in a positive way. One of the characters, Duncan Wedderburn, kind of manipulates her and tries to control her opinions and gets her to run away with him. But like, she does run away with him, but the opinion side, she doesn't really stand for it. She is like, well, I'm doing this because I think it's fun and I don't care what you think. And later in the movie, she becomes a prostitute, initially just because it makes her money and she's doing something she already enjoys. So she was like, why not? I can do that. But then she learns like the customers can be weird and she doesn't really like that. And she's like, why can't we just choose the customers? Because then they will probably like it more too because we're choosing them. But she learns that like that's not how it works. And she's just providing a service and it doesn't matter. And then she learns about the hard thing that the owner of the brothel has to kind of deal with. And she learns more about people who are poor and aren't well off like her, or sickness from Godwin being close to death, and just learns more and more about manipulation and bad people and bad things. And she eventually meets the husband of her previous persona, Victoria, whose body she's in. So that creates a little bit of a conflict because the point is kind of that Bella just learns the truth about society. And society isn't always sunshine and roses. Sometimes it freaking sucks living. It can be bad, especially when there's a lot of crazy things that are happening in the world. But that's just how it is. The way Bella deals with it, and you know, it can kind of be a little bit cathartic or relatable for others, is she stands up for the things she enjoys and finds a way to make the bad stuff work. She sees the bright side of things and she gets around it. And I like that. I like that positive side of things. I think a lot of people, myself in particular, I feel like I try to maintain on the positive side of things most of the time. Things can get bad. Of course, it is not uncommon for things to kind of get sucky, but it's just seeing the positive side of things is how I deal with it. And I feel like that's how Bella deals with it. And so I kind of connected with the character at those points. And it's Bella's personal journey like this that I think a lot of viewers can just really relate with. You know, she learns about herself, her interests, her dislikes. That's exactly what a real life person does throughout their life. They do this in like the span of like a year, but the rules still apply. She's basically just like a normal person. And that is something that you as a viewer can relate to. And so while it's kind of weird to watch at points, Poor Things is extremely well done. It's excellently shot, brilliantly acted, and shows the process of learning society. Now let's get into our rating for Poor Things. If you don't know our rating scale, from least to worst, it goes garbage, once is fine, right mood, quotable, go to, and all day, every day. And I'm going to put Poor Things, I would say, at quotable. While it is well done, I don't know how much of it I'm actually going to re-watch. Because although it's really good and it gave me some moments to think about, it was not one that I'm like, I'm going to re-watch this again. I would maybe re-watch it if someone else was watching it, but it's not one that I'm going to go to first, I would say. So that's why I'm going to put it at quotable. And I think in particular, since quotable, we try to bring in a little line. I really like this one from Godwin more near the end of the movie.
My father once told me, always carve with compassion. He was an idiot, but it's not bad advice.
So that is our rating for Poor Things. And now let's get to our question of the week, which is a question designed to get you, the viewer, invested in the discussion for this week's topic. Since a lot of Poor Things is Bella figuring out what she likes about life and what she likes to do, this week's question is kind of a similar nature. And it is, what is your favorite hobby? If you can't narrow it down, you can give a few. it's up to you. But my favorite, I would probably have to say, is actually making videos. It's doing things like this, and it's always been enjoyable to me, and it never really feels like work. Even if it can be a lot of work, it doesn't feel like work to me. It doesn't leave me drained. I don't dread having to do it. I enjoy it a lot, and I'm going to continue doing it until I can't, really. Until I'm physically unable to make videos, I'm going to keep making them because they are so much fun. I'm trying to make more stuff for my other channel, like vlogs and more short films. So if you want to check out some of that stuff, the links are in the description. It's a great thing. But those are the kind of things that I like to do. So be sure to give your answers to this question of the week in the comments on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, whatever. Just let us know, what is your favorite hobby? And that is it for this week's episode of Easily Entertained. I hope you enjoyed hearing us talk about poor things. It was a great time. Please leave us a like and a follow so you can get notified of all the latest episodes that come out, and stay up to date on all things entertainment. And until next week, bye. You have been entertained.